Welcome. Today we're going to talk about using visuals and how visuals can support everyday routines and transitions, specifically on ways that you can incorporate visuals into your day. And ideally at the end of it, increasing behavioral outcomes for you and your children. So that is kind of the goal of using visuals. So to introduce myself for those of you who don't know, my name is Lauren. I am the Family Support Specialist with Child Care Answers. So in my role, I support families by doing webinars like this, providing one-on-one parenting support. Most of that is happening through Zoom and through email. And then helping connect families to childcare. And by childcare, that can be actual childcare, it can be a preschool program, it can be school age care, it can be elementary school. So kind of matching your needs with available programs. All of our services are free and available to you as families. You can email me, which is probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. Don't feel like you have to rush to write it down because I will share this slide at the very end as well. So Child Care Answers is part of a statewide network of resource and referral agencies. We service Hendricks, Hamilton, and Marion, but there is an agency that services you if you live in another county. Our referrals between agencies are very seamless, so you can contact me, I can provide you support, and then I can forward you along to someone who can connect more one-on-one or individually with you. So let's get started. So as we talk about using visuals, and in addition to visuals, using language supports alongside of them, these can all be helpful tools in providing support skills that your child has not yet developed. So we utilize visuals to help aid the development of additional skills or to make things just a little bit easier. So as adaptive skills increase through the use of visuals, we have found, and research has seen, that challenging behaviors then decrease. So as a child develops additional skills, they're more independent, they're more willing to go along with the routine, and they develop those pro-social behaviors that allow them to get along with others, which is kind of our goal. So kind of starting with the benefits and really like the why behind using visuals and the desired outcome that comes from using visuals. So why visuals? So visuals, again, alongside of language supports, prevents challenging behaviors or unwanted behaviors from happening. So when we use a visual, we're giving a child something to see. I'm going to use the word visual about 5,000 times as I'm talking with you. It just is the nature of what we're talking about. But it gives them something to see along with what they hear. So it helps them make those connections, which ideally then is preventing a behavior from occurring. So if you think about transitions, I know transitions are difficult for my son who is 8. So giving him something to hear as well as something to see helps him go along or be a willing participant in the transition rather than fighting the transition. So it really does prevent those unwanted behaviors. And it also supports the development of language. So visuals, even sign language, which is something visual, so more along with the word more, then gives even a baby the tools to communicate when they need something, rather than kind of throwing their cup off of their tray or yelling or throwing food or crying to get their needs met. They can look at you and sign more, visually telling you what they need. It also helps them to develop spoken language and expressive communication skills. Visuals aid in understanding. Things like to-do lists and calendars and signs really help us connect abstract concepts and make them more concrete. Typically, children see visuals, especially signs out in the environment, and they recognize those way before they recognize words and can connect spoken language. So my drink, which you probably can't see, but you probably know exactly what it is, even without seeing the label, is an example of environmental print or a sign or a visual. My daughter recognizes that picture, she's 4, as connecting it to cake pops and mama's coffee. So she sees the picture of the lady and she knows that that's where she can get cake pops. So that helps her then communicate and understand where we are and where things are in the environment. And then lastly, visuals aid in independence. So visuals decrease behaviors and anxiety and increase understanding, flexibility, and independence. So allowing them eventually to be able to go through these motions by themselves. And some visuals really allow the person to do things more independently so that you don't have to give verbal prompts for a routine, say hand washing. So if there's a picture of the hand washing routine by the sink, it gives a step-by-step picture of what comes next so that you don't have to verbally prompt your child on what to do. They can see that routine. And I'll give an example of some of these in a little bit. In addition to these, visuals really allow children to make choices and make choices more independently, to develop concepts of time. So visually understanding time before they really understand time in the abstract. It allows them to support comprehension and understanding of a routine or a task that's being asked of them. And then it allows them to prepare for change. One of the things that visuals really helps with is, again, those transitions. So preparing for change, reminders, rules, directions kind of all go hand in hand so that children, again, are more willing participants in routines and transitions, rather than kind of fighting the routine or transition or having a difficult time through that transition. So as an adult, we utilize visuals every day. Some of these that we don't even recognize as visuals that we utilize. Calendars and to-do lists. I would not operate without a calendar and a to-do list. And in fact, my to-do list is sitting right next to me. I would be a lost puppy if I didn't know where I was supposed to be or what I was supposed to do. Yeah, and kids are the exact same way. We think that we use all of these tools, but then we don't think to provide these tools for our kiddos, and they benefit just as much as we benefit. Sticky notes, yep, those little reminders, a whiteboard in our kitchen for items to get to do. Yeah, we have a whiteboard in our kitchen where we write down things when we're out of them, or we remember that we need to get them at the store. And then we have a similar tool for what the schedule is for the day or the week. Like mom works late tonight, so dad has to take to karate or whatever it might be. Yeah, and sticky notes are a nice kind of easy visual, something very quick to write or to put a picture on. And then it's also mobile, which is nice too. Exactly. So thank you guys for sharing that. So you already mentioned some calendars, to-do lists, sticky notes, those types of things, maps, assembly instructions. These are additional ideas of visuals that we use on a daily basis. I've been building a lot of IKEA furniture at the office, and I would not be able to function without those assembly instructions. And most of them have no words. It's just a picture of what comes next. Similar to how children work and build Legos, it comes with those visual instructions on what comes next and what components they need in order to build something. Awesome. So the first thing I'm going to do is share with you some ideas on visuals to support routines. So things that I have done at home or in the classroom when I was teaching toddlers. Some things that I know my friends have utilized that work really well, some things that work with children with special needs, some things that work with children that are typically developing. And then I'm going to share some specific behavioral supports that are visual related. So managing behaviors that are specific using visuals. So the first thing, and the thing that we typically think about when we think about kiddos and visuals, is a visual schedule. I used visual schedules in the classroom. And when I was teaching, I really looked at them as, this is just something you use teaching. You don't use this at home. And I very quickly realized as a parent that visual schedules have their place and importance at home just as much as they do in the classroom. And this really became amplified during COVID and during e-learning, of really giving kind of a layout of our day visually. My son could read, but it was really nice for him to have a picture and the text side by side, as well as a map of what our day was going to look like. And then conversely, my daughter, who was 2 at the start of COVID, obviously could not read, still can't. So visuals, as far as pictures go, like a picture schedule was super, super important for her to understand what comes next. And even just what day it is, because we all know in the midst of COVID, we didn't even know what day it was. Like, where am I? What am I supposed to do? And a lot of that is because we stopped using a lot of the visuals that we were so reliant on before, like our routine boards, our schedules, our calendars, and those types of things. So visuals are really useful in helping children understand a scheduled sequence of events, anticipate changes, while also increasing independence, because they can walk through the steps of a routine without you having to prompt them verbally or remind them. It's also a great opportunity to build. So you can individualize schedules based on ages of children, or you can take kind of the simple concept of a visual schedule and build on it as a child gets older and is more equipped to handle multi-step directions or a more detailed routine. Visual schedules are also really great for that child who's constantly asking, what's next, what's next, what's next, or when are we going to? When are we going to go to the park? When are we going to go to the park? When are we going to go to the pool? When are we going on vacation? Right now, we are using a visual kind of countdown schedule to count down till Christmas, because every day my daughter thinks it's time to open up our presents. Is Santa coming today? So we're using kind of a countdown calendar visually to help her understand that today is not the day. This is how many days you have left. And she puts a sticker on each block. And then when all of her blocks are full, she knows then that is the day. So the picture is a great example of a bedtime routine. So in the classroom, on the side of the wall, we have the whole day, but that doesn't really work as well at home unless you are at home with your children all day. Instead, you can take visuals of certain routines throughout your day, especially routines that are more challenging, like bedtime or the morning routine or bath time, and really breaking those down. So this is an example of a bedtime routine. It has words and pictures, even for children who can't read. The words are nice to show them that words have meaning. It just provides them that context that these words say something and they mean something, but having the picture to go along with it so that they understand what it is. This allows you to flip through. So once they've completed a certain task, they can flip to the next page. What I love about this is it's portable, so you can take it with you throughout the house. If your bedtime routine involves multiple rooms, you can also take this on vacation to grandma's house, to anywhere, so that you are remaining consistent across settings, which is really, really important. A visual schedule or routines only work if they're happening all the time and happening consistently. So it's important that we're incorporating those routines into multiple settings. So just because we're spending the night at grandma's house or a babysitter or on vacation doesn't mean that our routine isn't important. And children own the routine and own their visuals. So a child is going to be super, super excited to show grandma or grandpa or their babysitter their visuals and like, this is my bedtime routine. Let me show you how this works. And again, it's allowing for consistency, not only of using the visuals, but of the routine in general. What I love about the key ring visual as well is that you can add steps as a child gets older. So maybe for a toddler, it is take a bath, read a book, go to bed. Obviously, there are more steps in our routine, but maybe those are the steps that you want some independence to be built around. And then as they get older, you can add things like putting their pajamas on, brushing their teeth, maybe setting out their clothes for the next day, whatever it might be. That's part of your bedtime routine. Here are some other uses of visual schedules or visual routines. So we have the first, next, then schedule, or you can use just a first to then schedule. This is really nice for kids who need just a snapshot of what is happening now and what's happening next. This is really beneficial for kids who are constantly thinking about what's coming next and aren't like kind of living in the present, and also kids who have a hard time transitioning. So first, we are getting dressed, and then we are having breakfast, and then we can go to the playground. Or first, we are going grocery shopping, and then we can go to the playground. So it helps them see kind of their end goal or what's coming, while also understanding that this is what we're doing right now. It can really alleviate anxiety, which can stem from a lack of information or misunderstanding. Another example kind of that flip board is a morning routine board. And this is where they physically move pictures from to do to finished. And this can be great for a morning routine. Like you need to brush your teeth, get dressed, pack your lunch, and grab your backpack. And then you can also use visuals for things like packing lunches. So this is for children who are school agers who can read, or you can use pictures for younger kiddos to give them a visual to say, you need to grab one from this box, one from this box, so that it allows them to be independent in the process of making their lunch, which is allowing you to be able to do other things and just say, hey, go pack your lunch, and they have the tools to do it successfully, so that it's not just a lunch full of fruit snacks, which is what my kids would do if they weren't given these tools to pack their lunch successfully. In addition to those, you can also break down specific routines like chores or homework to really give them kind of that checklist or that more concrete list of expectations or tasks. So this can be done with chores or jobs when they get home from school, homework. This is an example of a checklist that I have by the door that they check off or that they look at, and they just make sure they have these things for school. Do you have your homework and planner? Do you have your lunchbox? Do you have your face mask? Do you have your water bottle? Right now, do you have your coat, hat, and mittens? Check, check, check. Okay, you're ready to leave. They didn't use it this morning, and I heard the door open back up after they left this morning because they both forgot their backpacks, which is very important to have when you're going to school. So thinking through kind of visual schedules and these visuals that I've already mentioned, think about the ways in which you as an adult manage your tasks, your jobs, your chores as an adult. So we've already kind of mentioned the tools that we use to manage what we need to do throughout the day, but even like specifically how you manage those tasks. So an example of this is I write down my to-do list, and then I cross them off when I'm done. I have a coworker that highlights them different colors when they're done. If I am starting to put things off and only do the things that I want to do rather than the things that I need to do, I start highlighting the things that are most important, or I start putting them in order or numbering them. That is a visual for me to say, I know you want to do X, Y, and Z, but you need to do A, B, and C first. And that is a really good way of kind of managing my tasks. So things like assembly instructions or maps, like how do you manage them? How do you think about the ways in which you utilize these things? These can be charts for chores for yourself. This can be how you manage what groceries need to be purchased and then what meals are going to be cooked throughout the week. Just like children need kind of these step-by-step instructions, we benefit from them as well. So here are some examples, again, of ways that we can utilize visuals for chores and tasks. So the jar are sticks, and they are the task sticks. They can be done for a kiddo who transitions well and kind of goes with the flow. They can be done in any particular order. These are the sticks that you have to do today. However you do them is up to you. And then as the parent, you can add or subtract sticks based on the needs of the child or based on the day. So on a school morning, I might have get dressed, brush your teeth, pack your lunch, get your backpack, and they grab their sticks and they move it to the complete jar. On the weekends, I might add some jobs into there, or in the evenings, I might add some jobs into there. For kiddos who are home all day, some of those sticks might be, 30 minutes of reading time, 30 minutes of independent playtime in your room, screen time. So giving them kind of a flow, there's a spider, a flow of their day, but giving them the independence to go through that flow the ways in which they want to go through them. This can also be used just for chores. For my kiddos, we have chore sticks that operate similar to this, that I tell them, like, these are the sticks you need to do today. And then there's also money components on some of them. So the sticks that I don't assign to you, you're more than welcome to do. And you can get paid for the jobs that you choose to do, but you don't get paid for the jobs that I'm assigning to you, because we are all working together. If you're wondering what chores you can assign to your kiddos, here is an example of chores by age. Typically, chores for younger kiddo are routine tasks, things that need to happen, like picking up your toys, putting your laundry in the laundry basket, but it's giving them accountability and independence to carry out that task. So things that you might be doing for them that they could be doing independently. And then as they get older, there are things that really give them kind of a job to do, independence, responsibility, that make them helpful in the household, like vacuuming, like doing your brother's laundry, making everybody's lunches, fixing things, whatever it might be. And then the how to wash clothes is a really good example of a visual that you might use for yourself, for an older school ager, for a high school student, for a significant other, on the steps of how to wash clothes. So your job at 15 might be washing your laundry. I'm going to provide you this visual of the steps involved in the laundry process to make sure that you're doing it. And then you don't have to ask me questions. Mom, how much laundry detergent am I supposed to use? Because it's all there. We cloth diapered both of my kiddos. And so we had something similar in our laundry room that talked about the cloth diaper wash routine, because specifically my husband didn't wash all the time. He was the diaper sprayer, I was the diaper washer. So it allowed him to wash diapers independently without having to text me or ask me, which detergent am I supposed to use? How many rinse cycles am I supposed to do? It was all written there. And then if I changed the wash routine for any reason, I would just adjust it there. And then I wouldn't have to like tell him, hey, I've made another adjustment to the wash routine, because it was written down on that visual. Another helpful tool for transitions are transition visuals, specifically visual timers. And transition visuals don't have to necessarily be visual, which I know it's called a visual, but we use things like setting a timer. A visual timer is something that has like kind of the time and the visual put together. Setting Alexa. So my son will go up to his room and he'll set Alexa for 30 minutes, and he knows that when it goes off, it's time to be done reading. My daughter, as a routine to transition to bed, is that she gets 1 minute of cuddles with each of us. And so she sets her timer for 1 minute. When it goes off, we know we switch. And then when we've both cuddled with her, she knows that it's time to go to bed. That really helped reduce the one more hug, one more kiss. I have something else to tell you. I'm thirsty. I need this. I need that. And a visual timer is very, very beneficial for children with special needs and children who have a very, very difficult time transitioning, because they can see how much time is left rather than just hearing it. And so that kind of transitions us over to visuals to support behaviors. A lot of the visuals that I already showed in turn support behaviors, but these are specifically targeted at social emotional development to really reduce and prevent challenging behaviors from happening. Oftentimes our kids are exhibiting challenging behaviors because they have something that's happening to them that they weren't prepared for, or they want to be independent. So these give them the tools to be independent, but also warning them and allowing them to be part of the transition instead of things just constantly being done to them throughout the day. The first one being a social emotional visual, for them to really be able to understand how they're feeling and to be able to communicate that. So what I love about a feelings chart or feelings check-in is it gives them a color, a picture, words, and language around social emotional development. So I can communicate the number that I'm feeling, the color that I'm feeling, the word that I'm feeling, all to say the same thing. So it's really useful for children from toddler age on up. My 4-year-old will say, like, Mom, I'm feeling very red. And that lets me know that she's angry or she's scared or she's super anxious about something. She might just say, like, I'm blue. And I know she needs a hug. She's feeling tired or sad. And the colors she really resonates with. Where my son is still working on feelings words at 8. He kind of jumps to the extreme rather than understanding those underlying feelings and emotions. So this shows him the progression of how his feelings might build while also giving him the words to use. And yes, this is something that I will share in the email, the follow-up email that you can print, as well as the links of where you can find all of these things. Yep, Jackie. I love the use of this in a classroom. I love the use of this at home. I love the use of this out in public because it really gives them something to check in with. My son isn't very verbal in his emotions. He's very verbal. He talks a lot. He just doesn't like talking about his feelings. It makes him feel very uncomfortable. So instead of forcing him to communicate verbally, I can say, show me where you are on here, or move the paper clip to what number you're on, as a way for me to check in and have a better understanding of where he's at emotionally. In addition to this, once you identify this is where I'm feeling red, I'm feeling blue, I'm feeling green, then we can provide some coping strategies that match that feeling. So the first picture on the left is my coping strategies. These are pictures that can be moved. They Velcro onto the page, or you can have something that's static that doesn't change depending on the child. At our house, this is just a picture that I printed that's in our calm down corner, which happens to be on the landing of our stairs. It is not timeout. It is where anyone can go if they need a break and they need to be by themselves. Everybody in the house, for the most part, respects that personal space to say, like, I see that you're in the calm down space, you need time by yourself, and it has tools on how they can calm down. So there is a list or of visuals that is like printed and put on the wall of coping strategies, as well as the 5-finger breathing technique. So the coping strategies are strategies that the child knows, that have been practiced with the child, to say, like, these are the things that you can do when you're feeling upset. Like, you may not hit, you may not throw things, you may look at a sensory bottle, you may use I statements, you may put together a puzzle, you may sit in a beanbag chair, you may squeeze thinking putty, whatever those coping strategies are that work well with that child. My niece really loved coloring and art. So one of her coping strategies was to color her feelings. Draw me a picture of how you're feeling, or just draw to get your feelings out. The 5-finger breathing is a fantastic breathing tool because it's visual, it's sensory oriented, as well as it utilizes multi-senses. So what you do, the picture is just kind of a reminder, but you take your hand and you take a deep breath in as you're going up and breathe out as you're going down. So you track your hand, you go. Going through all 5 fingers. So at the end, you've taken 5 deep breaths while also focusing on moving your hand and moving your finger rather than your feelings. And it is a great calm down tool for both children and adults. All I have to do for my son is say, I need you to do the 5-finger breathing, and he will stop and do it. Because when I tell him to take a deep breath, typically 1 isn't good enough. He needs to feel the up and down of the breath while also taking 5 deep breaths. And lastly is an example of a problem-solving wheel. And this can look very different based on the needs of the child and based on the age of the child. But it is essentially a list of ways that a child can problem solve rather than using their body or not nice words to solve their problems. So my daughter likes to solve her problems with her body. She likes to hit her brother when things aren't going her way. And my son likes to just yell out at her. So sometimes I give them verbal prompts to say, ask him, can I have that when you're done, please? He's still playing with that. You need to give it back to him, but ask him, can I have that when you're done, please? Or I might say, it sounds like she doesn't want you to touch her. You need to ask her next time if you would like to give her a hug. But instead of me having to intervene, I could just say, you need to go check the problem-solving wheel and find a solution, whether it's rock, paper, scissors, or find something else to do, or tell them to stop. It's giving them a visual of different ways that they can solve their problems, because there isn't always one way to solve a problem. Another great tool are social stories. And social stories are kind of like using puppets to talk about a scenario. So it's another way to kind of talk about a scenario or talking about something that doesn't involve the child. Because sometimes when we see it in somebody else, it's a lot easier to understand and talk about than seeing it in ourselves. So social stories can be used to narrate certain situations, whether they're problem situations, whether they're routines or transitions, whether they're big changes that are happening, whether they're social norms. There are so many different ways of using a social story. Social stories can be acted out, they can be read over and over and over again, which is kind of the purpose of a social story. So some examples of this is maybe that child who's transitioning to a new school or transitioning into kindergarten. You might write a social story about what that change is going to look like. You're going to ride a bus, you're going to get on the bus, you're going to get off the bus at school. This is your teacher's name. This is where you're going to go in this school. This is what your day is going to look like. And then you're going to get on the bus again and come home. I will be there to pick you up, which allows the child to have less anxiety going into a new situation because they've gone through that routine multiple times before it ever happened. You can use this for toileting or other self-help skills, changes like bringing in a new sibling, to help them process through something traumatic like a tragic event or a death. Help them work through social situations like perspective taking, managing behaviors, asking a friend to play, which are really, really good tools for children with special needs, especially children on the autism spectrum, are working through some of those social skills or social norms. There are tons and tons and tons of social stories on the internet already. You can go to Teachers Pay Teachers and get a bunch on there. Some for pay, some for free. And then this and next comes L.com has a bunch, mostly on social relationships. Their printable social stories are targeted at children with autism, but they work for everyone. And then you can make your own social stories. So check them out, kind of see how they work. And then you can always make your own. So those are super, super helpful. And then there are rewards and token boards. So providing rewards really encourages positive behaviors because it can change the focus from doing unwanted behaviors to get attention to doing positive things to earn rewards and attention. It really goes back to the principles of behavior modification that work really well with young children. We use this with toileting, like sitting on the toilet, you get an M&M, you get that immediate reward and feedback for doing something, which is going to increase that behavior happening over and over again. So This can be seen in challenging behaviors where a child's doing something unwanted and they're continuously getting attention for it by getting yelled at or getting in trouble, because attention is attention to a child, whether it's positive or negative. And so this takes the focus and attention from that onto praising and rewarding those positive aspects instead. So things like a token board, kindness sticks, a sticker chart, a reward bucket, whatever it might be. So in the picture, this is an example of a token board, and this is a great way of giving immediate reinforcers and earning something quickly. So maybe it's a toy that they already have that they want to play with. Maybe it's a toy from the dollar store that you get and you have a toy bucket. Maybe it's an outing and you have a picture of whatever they're earning. So maybe you're earning a trip to the park. So the picture is, I am working for a trip to the park, and it's a picture of the playground. And then they have to get 5 tokens in order to get it. So they've done something good, they get a token, they stick it on their token board, and then once those circles are all full, they get to go to the park. These can work where they have to get 30 tokens for something for an older child, or 2 tokens for a child who you're just starting to incorporate routines with. It can be anywhere in between. It can be something as simple as just reading a book with you, to a toy, to a snack, to an outing, whatever is a good motivator for that child. Some other examples of a reward system for a child who has done well with the token system, who is a little bit older and understands the concept of waiting and turn taking. So thinking like a school ager, you can use this puffball jar. So it's going to take them time to earn these puffballs to fill up their jar. But then once they do, they get something, and it's usually something big because it's taken them a long time to do it. So my son loves to sleep in my bed. So we utilize something called kindness sticks, which is kind of like the example on the right, where he gets to earn sticks and then cash them in for certain things. So my daughter, her sticks have rewards written on them, so they're immediate. She pulls a stick when she's caught doing something good, there's an immediate reward on there, whether it's like a treat or 5 minutes of iPad time or staying up late or you choose dinner, very immediate reward. For my son, his don't say anything. He has to earn a certain amount to earn a reward. So he came up with the rewards himself. He decided what was meaningful for him. And he said, if I save 5 sticks, I get to sleep in your bed, which means he gets to start in my bed and then I move him to his room when I go to bed. If I earn 10 sticks, we can go on an outing, like to the park or something. If I earn 20 sticks, we can go bowling. And I said, okay, I think that works. He is not very good at saving things. So he wants to spend things as soon as he gets it. So it gives him that opportunity to earn things towards rewards that he has ownership of. But it also is teaching him how to wait, delayed gratification. I have 5 sticks. Am I going to cash them in, or am I going to hold on to them for something bigger? Which is a really important life skill, that just because you have something doesn't mean that you need to just go use it right away. You can save it and hold on to it. He is the kid that doesn't gravitate towards choosing the job sticks with money on them, because he's like, I have money, I don't need more. I don't need to save money until there's something I want to buy. Where I'm trying to get him to understand that it's not like you just start earning money when there's something you want, because if you earn it this whole time, then when you want something, you can get it right then. You don't have to wait and then start earning. But he's 8 and he hasn't made those connections yet. And then my daughter does really well with the sticker chart. She uses a sticker chart at school for nap time. Nap time is a big struggle for her. She doesn't need a nap, but the rest of her friends do. So she gets, for every 5 minutes that she listens or is quiet on her cot, she doesn't have to nap, but she can't wake up her friends. She gets a sticker. And then if she doesn't do that, she gets an X. So it's 5-minute increments. So it makes it very attainable for her. And so the whole nap time is broken into 5-minute chunks for her so that she can maybe have 5 minutes where she gets an X, but she has time to kind of earn that back or redeem herself throughout the course of the routine. And so she'll come home and she might have, 4 X's and 5 stickers, and then she fell asleep and she's like, I had some X's. And I'm like, it's okay. X's are fine. You had some stickers too. No one's perfect. We all make mistakes. Like, that's okay. So here is a sample of a reward menu, and I'm not going to read them all off to you, but just a list of ideas that you could throw out as rewards for your kiddos to work towards, or things that you could put on a kindness stick or on I'm working towards this. They can be experiences, they can be time spent with you, they can be a snack, they can be technology. My son loves to do science experiments, so that's something he could be working towards that doesn't involve us buying anything, doesn't involve us going anywhere. It's just he likes spending time with us doing that. So that can be something that he really owns. My daughter loves cake pops, so that's an easy reward. We can go through the drive-through and get a cake pop if that's a reward that you've worked towards or earned. So in addition to all of this, and kind of to summarize everything we're talking about, the picture here is an example of what our kindness sticks look like in our house. So there's some that have money on them. I don't have any $2 sticks. They have like, you get a penny, you get 5 cents, you get a 25 cents, you get $1. And there's like $1 stick in there, and it's a big deal when she gets it. But you can sit down together and work on completing them. Game night is a coveted stick. Games are super popular in my house right now. And in fact, for holiday presents, we have too much toys. I don't need toys. Kids don't need toys. Get us games and outings, because those are things that we can do together as a family. So those are coveted sticks as well. But as you're implementing visuals, you want to make sure that you're having that discussion with your child so that your child has buy-in of the visual and understands the visual. The way that you discuss this will be different if your child is 2 versus if your child is 10. The different levels of understanding, as well as your child gets older, you might have to have additional discussions as you adapt and adjust visuals. Kindness sticks for my son, as he's gotten older, have changed because his needs have changed and his understanding of development has changed as well. And then when appropriate, choose a format together that works. Introduce the visual in a simple way and build over time. So rather than introducing a jar where you have to fill it up and then you get something, do something more immediate, showing them that these work. And then building to something, okay, you have to wait a little bit longer. Similar to toileting supports. So I might give you a mini M&M for just sitting on the potty as we're introducing toileting, just sitting. We're sitting consistently. I'm going to phase out that reward to then just giving you an M&M for actually going. Oh, you're peeing well on the potty. You're not pooping well on the potty. So I'm going to phase out the reward or the reinforcer for peeing and just give it for pooping, or give more for pooping. And then, oh, we're doing that well, so I'm going to phase it out to then initiating toileting without me having to remind you. So they can change and ebb and flow kind of as the needs of the child change. Model how you use it and think and do out loud. So even saying like, I saw you sharing with your brother without anyone asking, you just did it because it was the right thing to do. I really appreciate that. You earned a kindness stick. Let's go grab one together and see what's on here, so that you're really kind of modeling the whole process and kind of reinforcing why you're using it. And then continue to reflect on what is and is not working for you and your child and family, and make improvements as needed. It's possible that you implement a visual that's just not working. You're not gravitating towards it. It's something that you're continuously offering verbal reminders and verbal prompts on, and they're not using it independently. Whatever it might be, if it's not working, adjust it. It's okay to say, like, this didn't work. Give it a fair shot, be consistent. But if it's not working, throw it out and try something different. And lastly, Visuals should be portable, durable, and easily accessible so that you can actually use them. Make sure that you take them with you if they're a visual that really is something that needs to be utilized. If it's a toileting visual, bring it with you everywhere you go because you might need to use the bathroom outside of the house, similar to the bedtime routine. They can be static or interactive. They can be simply just a picture or something that we're interacting with or moving things around. They don't have to be fancy. There are a lot of visuals on the internet, if you Google them, that are very fancy. They don't have to be fancy. You can literally take a picture of your child eating dinner and stick it on the table and say, like, this is what you should be doing. Here's a visual of your role right now. It's doing this picture, it's eating your dinner, or just pictures of a sink and soap and a towel, and that is your visual for washing your hands. It can be as simple as you want, or it can be as fancy if you're that kind of parent. So I have shared lots of tips and tricks on using visuals. There are a lot of visuals online that you can buy off Etsy. If that's your jam, go for it. If you want to make your own, go for it. If you want your child to help you make some, go for it. It can be interpreted the way that you want to interpret it and what works best for your family. So I have my email up on the screen again, so that if you have questions or comments, feel free to email me. But I wanted to leave some time to open up for any questions or comments, or for you to share some visuals that you have used in your home that have worked really well for your kiddos, or visuals that you use yourself that are really, really helpful. I know that there are a lot of apps out right now that offer visuals that walk through the steps. There is one from Sesame Street that is on managing behaviors specifically for young children. It walks them through the steps of the breathe, think, do method of taking a deep breath, thinking about a different way to approach it, and then doing it. And then I use an app for my grocery list that I can share with my husband so he can add things to the grocery list, or I can add things and either of us can go grocery shopping or run errands because it's all in one place. So that is a visual for me that really helps me. Monica said timers were a game changer. Yes, timers are amazing. We set timers constantly. Between timers for transitions, and then this isn't a visual, but this is something that works really well with my kiddos and kiddos that I taught, is saying goodbye to things for transitions. So we were at the zoo on Sunday. My daughter didn't want to leave the orangutan exhibit because there were two babies that were being super cute, understandable. So saying goodbye to the orangutans. Bye, baby orangutan. See you later. Have a good day. It really takes her from like, no, I don't want to go, to, oh, bye. It makes her part of the routine. So saying goodbye to things, even if it's like, say goodbye to the blocks, we're leaving, we're all done with the blocks, or say goodbye to the store, say goodbye to the potty, whatever it might be. Yeah. Yeah, we have an echo or a dot, I don't know what it is, in pretty much every room. And so we can set timers constantly related to like anything, like, oh, you don't want to go potty yet, you're not ready, let's set a timer. When the timer goes off, it's time. Or like, oh, it's time for bed, oh, you're not ready for bed, I'm going to set the timer for 1 minute. When the timer goes off, then it's time to transition. Or, you know, you have 5 minutes left on your iPad. If I just said 5 minutes left on your iPad, they'd still be watching it an hour from now. But setting the timer allows them to have some responsibility to hear it and kind of own it. Oh, I heard the timer. What does that mean? You're right. That does mean we're done with our iPad. And it allows them to go along with it. Yeah, she is the boss. Yeah, I always say like the timer did it, not me. Like Alexa's in charge around here, not me. Like she said it. You can blame it all on her. Exactly. I totally understand. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of those. These are really great suggestions, and it's nice to know that visuals and timers and things are working in other people's houses as well. So lastly, before I let you all get off for the day, if you do not follow us on social media, do. We post all of our upcoming workshops on Facebook. We do our Family Fridays on Facebook and Instagram, which gives just kind of like one snapshot of something you can do as a family, from how to play games with rules with young children, the benefits of that, to the 5-finger breathing technique, whatever it might be. We share a lot. And then we post all of our workshops onto YouTube. So you can always go on our YouTube channel and just search for all of the things that we have and watch them on demand. And then visit us at childcareanswers.org. If you haven't been on there lately, go visit our website. We relaunched our website in August. It has a whole family resource center that is fantastic. So check those out. And again, I really appreciate you all being here today. Thank you. Take care, and I will see you guys on another webinar.